Hey guys, it's Madison, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my 2024 language learning goals. Whenever I make these yearly goal videos, it's never a like I must do all these things kind of a goals situation. It's more of a this is where I kind of envision myself being, really hope that I can be, what I hope I can do over the course of this year. If I don't achieve it, that's fine, but hopefully I can make progress towards these things over the course of this year. People that watch my channel often will know that I'm learning Korean, Mandarin, and Japanese as my three main languages, my three only languages really. But I have noticed over the past year or so that I occasionally get comments like, what's your end goal for this language? Are you trying to get fluent? And I realize I don't really usually talk about like what I'm actually trying to become in these languages. So I figured before I get started, I will mention quickly kind of what my overall broad lifelong goals for each of these three languages are, because they are different from language to language. So starting off with Korean. Korean is my primary language. It is the language that's nearest and dearest to my heart. I started learning Korean way back in 2010, so it's been over 13 years now that I've been studying it. Out of all three of my languages, Korean is the one I feel the most personal passion for. Like I get the most excited about it. I just love it the most. And so far, at least, it's been the only country out of the three languages that I'm learning that I've actually had a desire to live in that country and like be a part actively of that culture. It's not that I think that Mandarin and Japanese are worse, of course. It's just that I don't have that strong personal tie to those countries or languages like I do as much for Korean. And so because of this, my overall lifelong goal for Korean is to reach as close to a native speaker's level as I possibly can. If I could be fully bilingual in Korean and English by the time I die, I will be very, very, very happy. As for both Mandarin and Japanese, because I don't have that same kind of strong personal tie and passion and connection to the culture and country and that kind of thing, even though I do enjoy studying those languages, I don't really have the same strong desire to become fluent in those languages. In fact, if you consider fluent speaking, then I have right now no desire to become fluent in those languages because I'm not working towards speaking at all in those languages. I'm only really focused on understanding stuff and just comprehending things I listen to or read. They are much more of side projects that I enjoy working on from time to time, whereas Korean is my lifelong passion, I guess you could say, as far as languages are concerned. Obviously, all this can change in the future. Who knows if one day I'll develop a really strong passion for Japanese or Mandarin as well, but at least for now and for the past couple of years, that has been the continual state of my passion for and goals in these languages. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to my actual goals for this year. Kind of the overarching theme I have for these goals is to always kind of have some sort of language project or challenge to work towards. If you watched me for a while, you would have noticed that over the course of this past year, I've done quite a few challenges, like the 40-day language challenge. Wait, 40-hour, 7-day language challenge, the screen time challenge, the random number generator challenge. All those challenges I found were really motivating, and having that kind of group community aspect on YouTube is also very kind of accountability holding for me as well. So all of that really motivated me to do more than I would have done otherwise in terms of language learning this year. And even aside from those actual group challenges, just my own kind of personal projects as well, like working towards that speech contest, working towards taking a topic, my kind of self-challenge of studying Japanese every single day for almost 5 months, all those things are really motivating for me and really pushed me to do much more this past year than I ever have done before in terms of language learning. And since I find them so fun and motivating, I want to kind of push that theme into this next year as well and try to really center my language learning around these kind of short-term projects / challenges. So I want to kind of always have a project or challenge either on the horizon or be currently working on. That doesn't mean that literally every single day and week of the entire year I'm going to be working on some sort of project or challenge, because I don't work that way. I like to have kind of ups and downs in my language learning, kind of really high intensity periods and then kind of very, very low intensity, just relaxing periods where I'm doing almost nothing. So I'm not saying I'm going to cram the whole year full of challenges, but I do want to kind of have these regularly scheduled or regularly planned challenges or projects kind of sprinkled throughout the year so that I'm not having these long periods of not having a goal to work towards. As far as specific language goals, I'm going to start with the easiest to talk about, which is Mandarin and Japanese, because they're fairly simple. I'm kind of keeping the same general idea that I had last year, which is just to study consistently throughout the year, aka study at least a few days every single month for both Mandarin and Japanese. When I first tried this past year, I wasn't sure it would be achieved. I wasn't sure I would actually remember to do this every single month, but I actually found that every month as the end of the month would approach, I would think back and think, oh, did I study Mandarin this month? Did I study Japanese this month? And it was actually a good way to kind of check myself and take note of time passing and be like, wow, the whole month has passed and I haven't done any Chinese. And so I would actually take the time to study for a day or two at the end of the month. And so I really found that to be a successful way to kind of keep track of whether or not I've been doing things recently. So I want to continue that into the next year and still have the same goal of studying a few days every single month for both of these languages. And also for both these languages, I think it'd be fun to do another kind of targeted language project / challenge around these languages, just like my almost 5 months of reading Japanese every single day from this past year. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but it's something like that where I focus on that one language for a short amount of time and really try to improve in that language. It could be fun to try and do at least one for Japanese and at least one for Mandarin over the course of 2024. I already watched plenty of Mandarin shows, but I am hoping to watch a little bit more Japanese content than I did this past year. I did watch some things this past year, so I was happy that I did manage to get some content in, but I'm hoping to kind of increase that number for this following year. So moving on to Korean, because it is my main passion, because I want to get the most fluent native-like in this language, I have a lot more specific goals for this language. For reading, I want to once again set the goal of reading a novel a month. I did not achieve that this past year, but I think it is a good goal, and for the first couple months this past year I did achieve it. So I think maybe this year is the year that I can actually achieve this goal and start reading more novels in Korean. And then outside of novels as well, I want to keep reading webtoons fairly consistently throughout the year. I don't have like a set goal for that, just hopefully when I look back on 2024, I will have seen consistent webtoon use. And then beyond these kind of fun reading things like novels and webtoons, I want to also expand my reading to things outside my comfort zone. So things like actually academic articles or nonfiction things, or just things on topics that I don't usually read about. Like I mentioned in my video where I crammed for the topic, I always realize when I look at the topic exam just how little I can express myself or even just comprehend in topics like politics, economics, art, like a lot of these like kind of niche, not as fun for me topics, but that are still very important topics, like just if you're a native speaker of a language. Because I never actually read about them or interact with those topics, I never actually improve those areas. So I do want to like actually target some of those weaker areas of my understanding and work on reading more, listening more, and just knowing more vocabulary about those areas. So hopefully by reading some things outside my comfort zone, I can work towards that goal. As far as writing, I did some writing practice this past year. I want to do more this upcoming year. So hopefully I can write more consistently as well. Again, I don't really have a like strong specific goal. Just hopefully when I look back on the year, I can say that I have written more than in previous years, and I can feel more confident about my writing abilities in the language. Moving on to my biggest goal, I would say, and that is speaking. Because of my job and the fact that I teach English at an English-focused school, I really have to go out of my way to actually introduce Korean speaking into my life. And this past year, I did a little bit of that kind of at the end of the year, not so much in the first half of the year. And I really want to, first of all, just do a lot more speaking this year in Korean. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I do consider myself fluent in Korean. However, there are a lot of times where I find myself kind of fumbling over a thought, struggling to accurately express a complex idea that I have, or to speak long sentences or paragraphs without having like lots of hesitations and trying to recall words and stuff. So I want to just overall be able to speak about more complex topics with more fluidity than I currently do. Right now I can get a lot of thoughts across, but I often have to kind of talk my way around a topic because I don't know how to exactly express what exactly I want to say. So I want to be able to do less of that after this upcoming year. And also another goal that's the same as last year, I want to just be able to express my personality more easily in Korean. Because of the fact that I can't always accurately express complex thoughts, I feel like my personality cannot fully shine through in Korean. So hopefully if I can improve my speaking and get a lot more speaking practice, I can get more comfortable and have a higher ability to actually get these complex ideas and jokes and my personality out with more ease. So as far as how I actually want to work towards those goals, I have a couple of ideas. I haven't really nailed one down that I definitely want to try. One option is taking italki classes, which I've considered for a long time actually, but I've never actually taken any classes on there. So that's a possibility, and that would also help my writing skills as well as my speaking skills. So that could kill two birds with one stone. Also, another general goal I have in Korea is to just get out more, get more involved. I got slightly like baby steps towards being more involved this past year, but I really want to take much bigger steps towards actually being part of the community, not just staying in my house all the time like I currently do. And if I did that, if I actually got more involved in Korean activities with Korean speakers, inevitably I think I would also improve my speaking as well. So that's another option. But yeah, whether it's through classes or just getting out and talking to people in my daily life, I want to spend a lot more time speaking in general. I'm not satisfied with how much like I actually do talk in Korean right now. It's very limited. And so hopefully I can do a lot more of that in the upcoming year. As far as kind of overall general, not really one category stuff, I want to watch more Korean news. This past year I did start watching it a lot more than I had previously, but I want to watch it even more, and again kind of focus not just on fun topics that are interesting, but also those topics that I hate and never actually engage with, like politics and economics and arts and other random kind of more niche adult level like native speaker topics that I will eventually have to engage with if I do want to become more like a native speaker. And then same as last year, I have the goal to travel more in Korea. I never actually go anywhere, it feels like. I made a few trips here and there, but I want to do that more. I think I have realized this year that I'm never going to be the kind of person who just really enjoys solo travel. I guess anything's possible, but I just don't enjoy the idea of going somewhere alone. It just doesn't seem fun to me. But I have another goal of making more friends here in Korea, which I have taken baby steps towards this past year, but I still don't really have a big social circle or much of a social circle at all. So I do want to make more steps towards that, and hopefully once I make friends, it'll be easier to actually have people to travel places with. We'll see. Hopefully this year I'm better at it than I was last year. So yeah, those are my overall goals for Korean, and moving on to my general kind of language learning / life goals more broadly. First of all, I want to continue to track my language learning time. I set this goal last year, and I was actually surprised that I managed to actually track all of my language learning time the entire year. And I found that for me personally, that tracking my time has been a big motivator for me, and I found it really kind of fun and inspiring to be able to look back and see what I've done, all the things I've accomplished, and what things I maybe should spend more time on as well. So I've really found it kind of a good way to kind of look back and reflect on my language learning. So I want to continue to track my language learning time and progress as well this upcoming year. I never set time goals because that stresses me out, but I do like actually tracking and just seeing how much I do accomplish. Also, same as last year, I have the goal to work on an academic journal article. I never actually really started that much last year. I did like one little research session and then I never actually went anywhere with it. So I still like that idea. So I want to actually take that and work towards making an actual paper on that topic and working on submitting that to a actual academic journal. So we'll see if I end up doing that as well, but it is kind of a goal that I have to work on eventually. And then finally, for this YouTube channel, this past year I was actually quite impressed with myself with how often and how consistently I managed to post throughout the year. There were some times where I was a little less consistent when I was either out of the country or just busy and unmotivated to make videos, but for the most part I was fairly consistent throughout the year. And also I more than doubled my subscriber count and hit 1,000 subscribers finally, so that was also exciting. I want to continue that consistency throughout this upcoming year as well. I might eventually change to one video every 2 weeks versus every 1 week, just because sometimes I find it really stressful to try and keep up with that pace while also working a full-time job, but we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, that is it for my goals for this year. We'll see if I actually manage to achieve all of them. Again, it's kind of more of a vision of where I hope to be at the end of the year and what I hope to have accomplished, and not a hard set, I must accomplish all these things. But hopefully I can make some good progress towards where I want to be in my languages. Let me know in the comments what you are working on this year, what languages you're focusing on, what you hope to do. I always love hearing about other people's goals as well, so I'll be sure to read all those comments. But yeah, that is it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, annyeong.